Oh, there's the head of the carnivore looking for some food. And he's going to find it in the herbivore. But the whole reason he gets the food is to get the energy. The energy that started with the sun went into the plants. The plant gave the energy over to the consumer, primary consumer, and the primary consumer gave his energy over to the secondary consumer, the carnivore. So everybody got energy, the same energy that started with the sun, and slowly drifted and went through each organism until everybody was happy. Well, at one point or another. Conclusions. At the end of labs, we've been writing conclusions. Conclusions are what you figure out, something you now know, based on the lab that you have gone through. You've planned the lab, you've done the lab, carried out the lab, organized the data, analyzed the data, and now we need to come up with a conclusion. If your lab was on reflection, it's almost like a main idea statement. Your reflection. That's the name of your lab, that's the topic of your lab, that's what it's all about, is reflecting reflection. When you wrote your question should have been about reflection. When you did your lab, everything should have reflected or not reflected. So when you get down to the end and the conclusion, guess what the conclusion should be about? You're right. It should be about reflection. So number one on conclusions, make sure your conclusion matches what your lab was all about. Your conclusion should match your lab. If the lab was about reflection, then make sure your conclusion is about reflection. It sounds easy, but so many times when taking a test, we get sidetracked, we get confused, and we're answering a good conclusion, but the conclusion does not match the lab. We did a lab on magnetism, and we came up with a great conclusion, magnetism, about magnetism. The lab was on magnetism, the question was about magnetism, and the data was over magnetism, and the conclusion. We actually came up with several conclusions. We came up with some weak conclusions, and we came up with some, or at least one, great conclusion. The weak conclusion we came up with was all metal is attracted to magnets. This is definitely a weak conclusion because it says all metals. But if you remember from the lab, all metals were not attracted to the conclusion. Is our conclusion about magnets, just like our topic, our main idea? Yes. So it's on topic, but it's not really all true. So we're going to have to put this as a weak, maybe even worse than weak. It's wrong. So then what could be a great conclusion? Well, we said a great conclusion has got to still be about magnetism. Some metals are attracted to magnets. This is a much better conclusion. It's on magnetism, and it's actually true. Some metals are attracted to magnets, not all. This is one example of a better conclusion. Thank you for watching the first 9-week review, and do wish everybody good luck on their 9 weeks test. If you just slow down, think, and read carefully, you should do great.